All right, let's get right into a paradox that honestly no one ever really prepares you for. It's this deeply uncomfortable truth about what can happen when you finally get everything you've been working for.
We're all kind of sold this dream, right? That success brings you love, respect, and connection. But what if it brings the exact opposite? What if the very people you expected to be popping the champagne with you are the ones who feel the most threatened by what you've achieved? This isn't just you having a string of bad luck. It's a predictable, well-documented social dynamic.
It's such a strange, isolating feeling, isn't it? You reach this incredible new peak, you look around to share the view, and you realize you're kind of alone. So why does your victory trigger pain in other people? To really get that, we have to pull back the curtain and look at the dark, hidden mechanics of the human ego that we rarely ever talk about out loud. Okay, let's get into the raw psychology of what's happening here. When a friend sees you succeed, their brain isn't just processing, hey, my friend won. On a much deeper, more primal level, their ego can actually interpret your win as their own personal failure. And that triggers this internal conflict, a direct threat to their self-worth, which then kicks on a whole series of subconscious defense mechanisms, all designed to protect them from feeling inadequate.
The emotion at the absolute core of this is a very specific type of envy. In Indonesian psychology, there's a term for it, iri hati. Now, it's so important to get this right. This is not jealousy. Jealousy is being afraid of losing something you already have. This kind of envy, as research from places like Gajah Mada University points out, is the pain of seeing someone else have something you don't. It springs from this deep-seated feeling of inferiority, and its subconscious goal? It isn't to rise up to your level. It's to see you get pulled back down to theirs.
And that feeling leads us straight to this recognized social phenomenon called tall poppy syndrome. Just picture a field of poppies, right? They all grow to pretty much the same height. But if one poppy dares to grow taller, faster, and brighter than the rest, it gets cut down just to keep everything looking uniform. This is a crazy powerful cultural force that basically punishes individual excellence. So when your friends start making those little passive-aggressive jokes or they kind of downplay your wins, what they're doing, in effect, is trying to cut you down to size. And right here, this is the fork in the road for any friendship. On one side, you've got the mature response, where your success actually inspires them. But on the other, you have the pathological response. And this isn't just them being a bad friend, it's their ego's defense mechanisms kicking into high gear. They might engage in projection, where they project their own feelings of failure onto you, or displacement, where they take all the frustration they have about their own life and just aim it at you, the most convenient target. Their ego feels threatened, and the gut reaction is to attack the source of that threat, you.
These defense mechanisms then start showing up as really clear red flags. Research out of UIN Fatmawati Sukarno Bengkulu on what makes friendships toxic identified these specific behaviors. I mean, do any of these sound familiar? The friend who immediately changes the subject when you share good news? Or the one who somehow frames your win as a loss for them? These aren't just little personality quirks. They are symptoms that a friendship is turning toxic under the pressure of your growth.
Now, this whole dynamic, it gets put on hyperdrive when success isn't just big, but it's sudden, especially when there's a lot of money involved. So let's talk about what happens when that financial shockwave hits.
Believe it or not, there's a clinical term for this, sudden wealth syndrome. Davis Wealth Management defines it not as a problem of having too much money, but as a psychological shock that's caused by the speed and the scale of the change. Your entire world and your fundamental identity inside that world gets completely redefined, almost overnight.
It all starts with euphoria, of course. I mean, who wouldn't be thrilled? But that rush, it fades pretty quickly into this crushing anxiety and then a profound identity crisis. If the struggle was what defined you for so long, then who are you without it? This confusion often leads to the final and most painful stage, social isolation. You start questioning everyone's motives, especially the people you've known the longest.
And here's the brutal truth about what's called the empathy gap. It's a two-way street. Your friends might stop seeing you and only see your bank account, which creates distance, but research also suggests that a rapid jump in wealth can actually decrease your own social compassion. You might become less tuned into other people's struggles, not because you're a bad person, but because your reality has just fundamentally changed. They see you as cold, you see them as resentful. And that gap, it becomes a chasm.
The consequences of this can be absolutely devastating. A study that wealth managers often cite found a staggering statistic. By the fifth generation, some wealthy families had a negative 2,000% average accumulated return. Think about that. They didn't just lose everything, they lost everything and then some. This isn't just about bad financial planning. It's proof of how social isolation, broken trust, and toxic relationships create an environment where the fortune itself just can't survive. The very foundation of trust you need to sustain wealth just crumbles away.
So, you find yourself here, at this crossroads. Your life has completely transformed, but some of your most important relationships are cracking under the strain. So what do? Is it even possible to rebuild? Or is it just time to move on?
The first and most critical step is to shift your whole perspective away from blame. It is so easy to feel angry and betrayed. I get it. But the path forward really requires emotional intelligence. It's about understanding the deep-seated psychological triggers that are going off in them, and, let's be honest, in you too, and then making a very conscious choice about how you're going to respond.
A really useful way to think about this is a concept called rupture and repair. The Gottman method teaches us that conflict, the rupture, is going to happen. It's inevitable in any relationship that's going through big changes. A strong bond isn't defined by having no fights. It's defined by a mutual commitment to repair, to do the difficult, intentional work of reconnecting and mending that emotional bridge.
So what does this repair actually look like in the real world? First, acknowledge their feelings. Even if their envy feels totally unfair to you, their sense of loss is real to them. So start with empathy, not with defending yourself. Second, you have to set clear, firm boundaries, especially when it comes to money. This isn't being cruel, it's absolutely crucial for the relationship's survival. Third, and this one is non-negotiable, do not shrink yourself to make other people feel comfortable. Hiding your light is a betrayal of your own potential. And finally, go find your sunflower groups, peers who, just like sunflowers, turn toward the light. They get energized by your success, they aren't threatened by it.
But in the end, you have to accept a difficult truth. Success is a filter. As you climb higher, the air gets thinner, and not everyone is equipped for that altitude. Some friendships are perfectly suited for base camp, but they just can't make the journey to the summit with you. Letting them go isn't a failure, it's a natural, and yeah, a painful part of your evolution.
And that leaves us with the final, really provocative question. It's the ultimate trade-off that success forces you to consider. Because real success isn't just about what you gain, it's also about what you're willing to lose. It's about having the courage to stand tall, even if it means, for a little while, you might be standing alone.